Welcome back, and thank you for listening. This is Chapter 2, Beating the Barrier. Did I mention that I had to break up with diet soda? The host, who had been deeply enthralled with Nana's story, interrupted with a snorted laugh. Trying to cover her mouth and not to laugh out loud, she apologized. Sorry, Nana, that was completely unprofessional of me. However, you are the first person I've heard use that term. It is very accurate. I felt that way when I quit Mr. Sugar. Please carry on. This is great stuff. Nana smiled and let a little laugh out. I am glad you can relate. I think this will hit home with a lot of women. So, the breakup, it almost literally broke my heart. This was the worst breakup of all the foods I had to do. I had ended it with diet soda a couple of weeks before my vacation in France. I had broken off many relationships in those 2 weeks before my vacation that year: diet soda, sugar, beer, and cigarette smoking. All the other withdrawals and cravings were up and done within the 14 days, all except one, and that was the aspartame from the diet soda. It was still kicking my butt for up to 6 weeks after stopping it. My body craved it more than any other toxins I was coming off of at that time. The worst was congestion around the heart. This was a drawback that I did not know about going in. I would not change what I had done. I would still quit cold turkey. However, the knowledge of what was happening to my body was helpful and kept me from panicking and backsliding. Going back through the withdrawals was not an option I wanted to do all over. It took about 6 complete weeks before my body stopped craving aspartame. During that time, I was going through withdrawals. I had no energy and was having trouble breathing. I just wanted to sleep my entire time away. My ankles had swollen up and I felt like Miss Piggy. I was bloated all over and I was done with all the feeling bad, and I was done with my vacation. Once I got back home, I immediately started researching all I could about the toxin called aspartame. It had almost ruined my vacation. It was making me feel like death was calling. It was time to figure out what was going on in my body and why the Grim Reaper had my number. I started looking at informations and opinions that were circulating. Great for losing weight, may cause cancer, aspartame poisoning, may cause weight gain, good for diabetes. There were lots of information. However, I chose a different route. I began my research on how aspartame was developed and how it works. I am not a scientist, so the terms that I use are more for helping me and you understand how aspartame is obtained and how it works in the body. So just follow along. First of all, aspartame is made up of two amino acids, phenylalanine and aspartic acid. These guys have a way of working in nature with our bodies when ingested through natural means, such as foods. Like all natural amino acids, they are absorbed in the bloodstream after digestion. In the bloodstream, they hang out waiting on a transporter. The transporter takes them to the liver. However, the two amino acids that are used in aspartame are isolated and do not work the same in the body because they have been altered and are considered excitotoxic. Once aspartame is ingested, it immediately goes into the bloodstream, bypassing digestion. The two amino acids then make a straight path to the brain. The brain's barrier is no match for these excitotoxins. Normally, the blood brain barrier protects the brain from harmful chemicals taking over. However, aspartame is its rule maker as well as a rule breaker. The isolated amino acids pummel the hypothalamus, which, by the way, controls hormones. Ladies, aspartame was causing the pregnant belly look on me. Not only was it causing hormonal issues, but it was also causing holes in my brain. The holes caused by the excitotoxins beating on my brain were filling up with calcium. What? My brain is not a bone. Why do I have calcium deposits? The brain does not know how to handle the trauma the wild amino acids are causing, so it panics and it dumps calcium in the holes. I remember the first time I saw all these tiny filled holes in my brain on the MRI. When I questioned it, I was told that these were normal for my age. That, I had determined, was a lie. It is normal for those who consume excitotoxins. It is true that this is becoming a normal finding in my age range. However, it is not a normal occurrence. It is a man-made damage and not from our Father. These types of holes are what they believe cause dementia-type issues and Parkinson's, which my mother and her siblings suffer severely from. I was glad God was opening my eyes. If I was going to conquer the demons, then I needed to have as much armor as I could gather. Truth is armor. God is truth. He is our armor. Now that I knew what I was up against, I began researching the different withdrawal side effects I could have with aspartame. What caught my attention was eye-opening to what I was still experiencing. The pain and overall miserable feeling were there even after 3 weeks. I felt so bad that I went back to the doctor after my vacation to get a checkup. The doctor said he could not figure out why I was hurting and having so many issues from just fasting from diet sodas. He assumed I should have been done with the detox part of the aspartame and sent me on my way. When I began looking for answers to why this detox was so harsh, I saw a couple of articles that likened aspartame withdrawals to heroin withdrawals. The side effects were very similar. It would take up to 6 weeks for all the aspartame to be out and for the body to stop craving it. 6 weeks. Heroin. Wow. This was not something I was expecting from an FDA approved artificial sweetener. I endured the withdrawals for another few weeks. Then, after 6 weeks, I woke up and felt free. I had no pain. My mind was clear and I had energy. It was a new day and a new beginning, but I had one thing I needed to do. I felt that I was going to be done with the medical world when it came to my health. After enduring the withdrawals from aspartame for over 6 weeks and the doctor not having a clue about the side effects, I needed to make it right. So I made the last appointment with my doctor. I came in that day with no pain, smiling, and with color on my face. He remarked I looked good, and especially from my last visit. I then explained to him why I was looking better. Aspartame was killing me, drinking it or detoxing it either way. I then let him know that he should have a better idea of what aspartame does to the body and those detoxing from it. It causes serious issues such as fluid around the heart, also known as congestive heart. I wish I could say I left the medical kingdom forever. Unfortunately, I found out later that I had hip disease, and it had caused some damage. Once I got all that fixed, as well as a couple other minor issues, I dropped my health insurance and have been doctor free for a few years now. The fear that we need medical insurance is a scam. Is that why they punish us for not having it? Conformity has everything to do with fasting. If we are conformed to man's fears and rooted in that, then we won't be able to break free and worship the Lord so he can do his will for us, such as blessing us with good health and healing us. I talk to many women who claim they can't live without their sweets. Such a lie the devil tells us. Can't is a curse that our mouth speaks and our heart believes. We must not use that word. Aspartame was a stronghold that I broke, but not by my will. If you recall, I spoke of many things I had fasted from at the same time. I had a relationship with cigarettes as well. I did not pick up the habit until I was out of my teens. I tried cigarettes in my teens, but I did not like them. Both my parents smoked my whole life, and my mother smoked while pregnant with me. They were approved for pregnant women back then, so just like aspartame, the health effects are not known for a few years. I was a sickly child. I was in the hospital a week after my birth. I was on prescribed allergy medicine since I was in elementary school and had my tonsils out at the age of 10 because of the infections I often got. I was always told that I just had severe allergies. I accepted it, even as an adult. I would buy over the counter medicines for allergies like clockwork. When I quit smoking, all of my allergies went away. I was clear. I did not suffer from any nasal, chest, or head congestion. My sinuses were clear. It was obvious that I had been allergic to cigarette smoke my whole life. All my sicknesses were caused by the toxins that were being smoked in our home and cars. It was in my clothes and in my hair. Now I was free. I'm very sensitive to the smell of cigarette smoke after detoxing the toxins from my body. It makes me nauseous when I get a whiff of the smell, and my eyes and nose start to get runny. What other allergies could be manifesting as ailments? Ever heard of gluten-free products? Most will roll their eyes when they hear it. Some even ask in an insensitive tone, "Are you gluten-free like everyone else these days?" I've heard it in so many ways, and yes, I eat gluten-free products. Since removing gluten from my diet and completely detoxing, I realized that I have become sensitive to modified and pesticide-filled gluten. My body sees the jacked up gluten, pardon my French, as an enemy. I had even acquired a nice little autoimmune rash from all the damage the pesticide and genetically modified organisms did on the inside of my body. Gluten is a protein, a building block in our bodies. It is binding like glue. I like to think of them like a puzzle pieces. They bind together in a certain pattern and are important for the lining of the stomach. If the piece is altered in any way, it won't fit correctly. If the protein has been altered in any form, then it does not function properly in our bodies. It has become toxic and harmful to the body. To rid the body of these toxins, not just bad gluten, it must go through the filtration system, which is the liver. If the liver is backed up or not functioning 100%, also called toxicity, it cannot filter out the poisons and they must be stored in the body for later detoxing. Think about the movie Wall-E. He is just a small robot in a big trash dump. This is like your liver and the toxins in your body. The only choice the body has is to store it in the fat cells until it can get rid of the toxins. When the body starts having to store toxins because there's too many in the body, the first thing one notices is weight gain. Weight gain does not stop until the toxins stop coming. In fact, at this point, many will have other issues manifesting as well, such as rashes and inflammation. The body cannot properly heal itself because of no real nutrients are getting through. The gut has become inflamed and leaks the toxins straight into the bloodstream. Unfortunately, it is not just our foods that are bad, it is also beauty products, deodorants, shampoos, and so much more. We have to be vigilant about wanting to rid our bodies of these toxins. The fat cells need to be purged of all the stored toxins. These toxins in the fat cells start destroying at the cellular level. This is how illnesses such as cancer, diabetes, and heart disease start. I felt like I had every health issue heading down the pike at me. My family was full of curses like cancers, Parkinson's disease, Alzheimer's, dementia, and even hormonal issues that most of the women in the family cured with hysterectomies. The women of my family identified with depression and would run to their doctors to get their antidepressants. It was sad how many women jumped on the depression bandwagon. There were many television celebs such as Oprah, Dr. Phil, and a few more who told women this was a good thing. Many of the women in my life watched these daytime shows. I never cared for any of them, and I did not want to be on antidepressants to make me happy. I felt there was something better, bigger than a pill. At this point in my life, I was the biggest I had ever been. I was topping 250 pounds.